Hello. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I install the Zen32 screen controller. Zen32. So I'll be installing this. What I'm going to be replacing is my smart switch that I had there. It was programmable. It was a Z-wave, and I was running it on my SmartThings platform. So this was part of my automation for my home, and I needed some more controls to run some other pieces of equipment. I've got some string lights and a couple fountains that my wife wants to be able to turn on without having to use the phone. So I'm going to set this switch up for running smart plugs. So I have 4 smart plugs that I'll run from the screen controller switch, and we'll demonstrate how all that works. This is going to be a 2-part video. The first part is the installation of the device, and I know it's very simple. If you follow the instructions, you'll see that the device can be easily installed. I could actually do it in probably about 5 minutes. I spent a little bit more time on this one because I was trying to demonstrate how to do things properly, but I'll speed it up on the playback. But at the same time, if you're not comfortable working with electricity, consider having somebody do that for you, because it's probably one of the easiest parts of the installation. You know, a handyman or somebody with some experience installing electrical devices could certainly do the installation on this. But if you don't have any experience and you're not sure about what you're doing, it may be something that you have somebody else come in and do. And now the programming is a separate issue. So that's programming we're going to show, and the second part will be how I set it up, you know, and how I integrate it with my SmartThings app that I use for my home automation. And so I'll show you that. And that's pretty much about it from the beginning of the video. So this is just going to be the installation, and we'll go over how the installation is, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So if you like the video, please hit the like button, and if you didn't like it, well, I mean, consider subscribing, because maybe you'll like the next video. And also, if you're watching this and thinking that, oh, I'm not really interested in this kind of thing, well, if you got to click away, maybe spend a few more minutes on here and just finish off what I've shown you, and maybe you'll learn something about installing electrical devices. So without wasting any more time, let's get started on the installation. We're going to unbox the screen controller. This is a Zen32 800LR. So it comes in a really nice box. It's different things on it. It can be used for 3-way. If you need help, you can email them. Scene controller user manual. It's pretty thick too. And then here we've got, these are labels for your wire. So when you're working with the wiring, you could put these labels on. Travelers would indicate that that's a 3-way circuit. Ground. Of course, the ground is usually bare copper in a house, but it could be green. Here's a load indication. Here's the neutral. So the neutral wire, neutral conductor, will always be white. Always white in a residential installation. A commercial installation, it could be gray, but you'll always find a white one there. And then the line, of course, is power coming in from the breaker, so that'd be your line. Line is, think of it as the source, and the load is what we're trying to operate. So light fixture, or mostly lighting with this, but we're running some outside receptacles, so we're going to run those two off of that. All right, that's the load. And then you get this little jumper here that's for your neutral conductor, in case you don't have a pigtail already, so we can make a pigtail out of that. And then here's the device in the box. Oh, it's nicely packed too in foam. Really took care of it. And we've got some warning stuff to do here. Take detailed pictures before disconnecting any wiring. Now, that's probably good advice. I want to make sure that we can put it back together correctly. Always follow the relevant diagram. So you have to figure out which diagram you're on, and then Here's one that says prep wires, straighten. Prep the wires. Straighten the wires probably to go into this slot here. So these are compression connections. And then if this was a three-way, we'd put travelers in here. A load could be from the three-way. So a traveler is just the wire that goes back and forth, and basically it's just flipping back and forth between load and traveler. There's actually two travelers in a three-way. Then you've got your neutral, and then you got your line. So the line, this power coming in, this will be neutral. So in order to operate this device, we got to have a source. So it's getting the 120 volt this side, and then it's pulling off of the neutral conductor for the opposite side. It probably doesn't consume very much electricity, but because it is connected to the neutral, it has to be full size. And here on this side, this is the ground, and they have a pressure connector for the ground wire too. That's very nice. Nicely done. And then if you notice, we'll have different colors for the neutral. See, so it's kind of a silver color, chrome plated. This is brass, so that's the traveler. And then on this side, we've got dark colored wires indicating the line and the load. So these kind of match the labels that we saw a few minutes ago. And then here's the front of the switch, and so there's a protective cover on it, so it's nicely protected. This would be the main switch. It's going to operate the load. So they probably put it up to about 15 amps. Okay, so you can run up to 15 amps through that. So switching it on and off. And then it tells you what the maximum LED. So the maximum amount of LED is 150 watts. And then the fluorescent can be up to, let's say that's 960. Now this is important labeling here. This shows that it's listed. So this ETL is Edison Testing Laboratory here in the United States. It's listed to that, so listed, but it looks like it's an Intertech test. So you could probably look up this number right here and find the testing results for this switch. And it's very well made, so I'm sure that their tests were done really well. So it gives you indoor installation only. Do not connect to receptacles or tube lights. Anyways, that's it for the box. We'll move on to installing the switch. Okay, so this is the user manual. And it has some wiring diagrams on here on the left side. And then over here on the right, it's telling us some information about checking the diagram to make sure that it matches what they have here. So it's possible that your wiring may not match this exactly, but it gives you some typical wire configurations that you might find in a switch box. This is mainly for three-ways, so it's showing three-way switching here. Caution, some more warning labels. You know, they just want you to be careful. It's an electrical device. Before you install it, you know, they're talking about the electrical code. So National Electric Code, we always need to follow that. And those are safety rules. You don't want to break any of the rules when you're dealing with safety stuff. Local regulations, well, I think we've just followed National Electric Code. There's codes in different cities sometimes, but basically it's based on the NEC. It is recommended that a licensed electrician perform the installation. So if you're not comfortable with working with electrical systems, probably a good idea to hire somebody that is. And if you hire someone that's licensed, that'll assure that you've got a person that's skilled in mainly terminations. Is the biggest probably thing about this, is knowing how to properly terminate the conductors, identifying them, ensuring that you're not doing something that's incorrect that might be unsafe. You don't want to start any fires, you know, let alone hurt yourself, but there's other things that could happen. You've got to check the load. So You want to make sure the lights are a certain way. And then let's get here again. They're telling you to power it off. So you want to power off the circuit breaker. Check the wires. That's important. You know, and it's telling you what to look for. What's the most common? You can use a multimeter to identify the wires. That's if you own one. I mean, typically most people don't have a multimeter, so I don't know how that would work. And then if you're not sure, you could take pictures and then they'll help you with it. So that's kind of a nice, convenient thing to work with. And then when you're removing the old switch, it tells you about disconnecting wires and labeling them. And then you connect the new Z-wave switch, which is the ZEN32 controller that we'll be installing. You want to do it exactly as the diagram, but then don't rely on the diagram. So make sure it's exactly, but don't rely on it. That sounds funny. Okay, insert some wires here. Very, you know, pretty basic. Here's some stuff on how to install the wires. They're talking about how tight to make everything. And this is important because this is where we get loose connections. Something like this is probably not likely to really start a fire, but if you have a loose connection and you got some load there, you can build up heat. You might melt the terminal, could damage the device. You know, worst case would be where you do start a fire, but I think on probably a lighting circuit, it probably won't be an issue. It'll just flicker and cause problems like that. And it tells you which way to turn it, you know, so. Complete the installation, test the switch. So it gives you some stuff to do when you're testing it. Here's a warning label that you probably should read. This is in small print, but still very important that maybe spend a little bit of time to understand what the safety issues are. Okay, before we can start, I'm going to have to go out and shut the power off. So let's get the power off for this and then we'll install the switch. Follow me. Okay, here we are over by the electrical panel. And let me turn this around so you can see it. Okay, so here we got our electrical panel. And I want to turn off this switch. This is going to be for my south side receptacles. That'll take care of the light switch. Then we got to go back. Let's take a walk back around. This will be one of the fountains right here that we're going to be hooking up for so I can run it with the electrical plug. I got some smart plugs that I'm using. They're programmable. And for right now, we just got a cord running out there. I got to change that. So what I have here is I put in a little six plug outlet device there. I got another one over here. We're under a cover, so these should never get wet, but they could get wet. It's all hooked up to a GFI plug, so everything's protected. And this is all temporary portable wiring. This will be the lights that we're going to be hooking up. These are my string lights. We just put those in. We had them out here before, but these ones are new, white. It's kind of match the new white ceiling that we have. If you look closely, you'll see that those switches have a plug behind it, or there's a plug behind the plugs. It's going to be switched from the smart system. So the smart controller will control that. And another one back here, they didn't all fit together. So I had to make two. That was a little bit of a pain. This is our front patio. You can see this, there's a street out there. And of course we've got the lights. These were in the backyard. I moved them out here. They're a little closer together than the ones we have in the back. And it wraps all the way around. So there's lighting all the way around out here, and it makes a real nice little light for that. And I've got all my stuff for the plugs back here. You really can't see it too well with the plants. But I put a little cover over this one so it doesn't get wet. But that's the hookups. That plug strip there was long enough to put in everything. And we'll be running lights. You see it's labeled OL-5 LTS. The other one, this is fountain. That one has OL, stands for outlet. It's probably like outlet 1 or outlet 3. I don't remember what number it is, but it's got a number. Anyways, that's that. Okay, so that's the light that switch controls. And the motion sensor up above is battery operated. You can see it's working right now. And that's controlled by the SmartThings app. I've set the power off and getting ready to take the switch out. These are the tools I'll be using. Basic alignment pliers, and then this is a 5-in-1 screwdriver. So it has 2 sizes at the one side of the tip. And the other side is a smaller one. This is a Klein, so it's made for electricians. I had to go get all the parts. Normally this wouldn't take very long because I wouldn't bother with the labels, but for the sake of working on the video, I'll go ahead and put these labels on and show you why. So this is coming up from this plug down below. So this is going to be our line side. Power, it's going to be hot. That's the hot lead. And of course, we talked about the neutral. So the neutral is white in this one. And sometimes this wire, it'll be a white wire, but it could be hot. You have to check it sometimes. If you've only got a black and white in the box, then it's just most likely to switching the light fixture from that one spot. And then here's the load wire. And this is going up to the light switch. Put that on. There's the load. Okay, and then this bare copper wire, that's going to be our ground. I'll put that on. Now I've identified everything according to the instructions. So if we're following the instructions, we've identified all of these wires, or conductors is the proper term. Get rid of that label. Okay, load. I want to follow the instructions on the back, I mean the labeling on the back. We don't have any travelers, but we have load and line and neutral. I'm going to start with neutral. Kind of just go around in a circle here. Okay, here's the neutral. And probably the best way to do this is just to kind of wiggle it a little bit and apply a little torque to the thing. Now you don't want to over torque these because you could run the screw or strip it out or bend something there. You just really just want it to be tugged. Now, as you're twisting it, it'll loosen up on you. You can feel it getting loose. Should be tight enough so it doesn't come loose. Okay, and we also have the ground that we need to put on. On this particular one, you can just feed the ground in. There's a little pressure plate inside of there. You can stick the ground wire directly in there and make sure that that's not going to break off. Sometimes they get nicked from the other terminal, and it's possible that it could break off, but we don't want to have that happening. And just going to tighten that one down. A little pressure. I'll go back and forth a little bit. More pressure. pretty good. The importance of the ground too is you got these screws and then this metal plate back here too. So if this were to become electrified, you could get a shock off of these screw terminals that are going to be sticking through the plate. So this is all metal. So that's the point of contact would be from the screw plate. Okay, now next we got to find the load line. So load is over here, is identified. And another thing to think about too is will the plug or the switch, a pretty good size, is that going to fit in the box? So I would say that it's similar in size to the one that we had in there before, and that fit. So we shouldn't have an issue with it, but sometimes you may have a shallow box that isn't very deep. This one's probably, well, it's my whole finger, so what is that, a couple of 3 inches, maybe 2.5 deep. So it's pretty deep. And here comes the cat. He wants to help. Okay, kitty boy, what's up? You're gonna mess me up, aren't you? You're up here to try to cause me some trouble. I know, I see it in your eyes. You want to get involved. Say hello in the camera. Look, right there. Come on, go looky. Look. Yeah, right up there. That's my cat helper. Can't afford a robot, so I just get a cat. Of course, he wants me to pet him. That's why he's over here. Likes to get a pet once in a while. Oh, there he goes. He's not going to hang out. All right, well, let's double check that one. That'll work. Okay. Now, so these screws are kind of a little bit on the short side. I don't know if you can see that. All right. They're little tiny screws for these the core plate. The screws sometimes will bottom out in the back of the wall, and you'll have to maybe, if there's a box back there, make a hole into the wall or something. But this type of switch takes a decor plate. Then when you get done, there's a little cover here. We'll cover it so it looks nice and clean. And one thing I want to stress is the importance of getting these screws straight up and down. Most people don't know this, but when somebody walks up and sees that the screws are straight up and down, they know that a professional probably did that work. So if you're even doing it yourself, put the screws in straight up and down. Everybody's going to look at it and go, wow, somebody knew what they were doing, put that screw plate on. Not really, but it's nice to think of that. Okay, we're going to go back and turn the power back on. Everything's hooked up, ready to go. Okay, we're back to the breaker panel. So we like to call this the smoke test. When we're testing, we're going to turn the breaker on, and if we get maximum smoke, then that equals minimum efficiency. We don't want smoke, sparks, noises, anything of the such. So if we wired everything properly, this should be a real easy switch on. Yeah, see? Hooray! No smoke. Okay, folks, well, we've shown you how we install the ZEN32 screen controller, replacing an existing electrical switch. And so we went over the wiring details, safety concerns, shutting the power off, turning the power back on. Pretty much all the basics, covered that. And what we need to do next is, now that the switch is installed and operating, we're going to want to program that. So there's some setup stuff that we have to do in order to integrate it with the SmartThings Z-wave hub. What I'll do is I'll demonstrate that in the part 2 of this series. So if you like the video, please hit the like button. And you know, if you didn't like the video, please consider subscribing to my channel, because I'm going to continue to add more content, and I think that I'm going to be getting better at it. I continue to get better at it each time I do a video, so maybe they'll become more enjoyable at some point, and you'll find something that maybe is really useful for you. I'm doing a complete series on designing bathrooms, which is was mainly my primary focus, but I had so many other things to do around the house. I thought, well, let's take an opportunity and we'll just show some things that I work on. You know, it's kind of like fun stuff, so try to make things interesting within the channel. But as we progress through the year, I'm going to have a pretty in-depth design series for the Bathrooms Unveiled. And I intend to take that all the way up to the point where we're using artificial intelligence to actually produce the drawings and the renderings for those designs. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up. This is going to be RB signing off.